It's late 1914. The war is at a stalemate on the Western Front. Grand Duke Nicholas of Russia has appealed to Britain for assistance against the Ottoman Empire. The British agreed to this proposal, as it gave them many opportunities. They wanted to completely secure the Suez Canal and send supplies to their Russian allies. The British also believed this would leave most fronts in Europe and win the war quickly if they could capture the capital of the Ottoman Empire, Constantinople. Winston Churchill, who was Lord of the Admiralty at this time, proposed to the British War Cabinet to attack Constantinople by sea. The War Cabinet accepted these plans, and on February 19, 1915, a large naval expedition sailed up to the Dardanelles Strait and began the bombardment of Turkish emplacements and Turkish coastal forts. The Turkish had planned for a naval attack already, and had successfully put mines in the straits and seas. They also prepared guns in the coastal forts of Kilidbar and Kanakau. These forts in particular have a strategic value, as they are in the area known as the Narrows. This is because the Narrows are at the narrowest point of the Dardanelles Strait. The British and French battleships started bombarding different Turkish forts on February 19th. While minesweepers went further through the strait, but they didn't detect the majority of the mines they were supposed to detect. On March 18th, British and French battleships entered the straits and were under fire from the strategically placed Turkish guns. They were on both sides of the coasts. While the British battleships were under fire from the guns, they also didn't know about the vast amount of Turkish mines that they undetected. HMS Goliath, HMS Ocean, and the French battleship Bouvet were sunk by the mines and gunfire. The rest of the fleet were quickly withdrawn. The naval expedition was a failure, and it was clear that if the Allies were going to take Constantinople, they would have to invade the Gallipoli Peninsula. The attack would be led by General Ian Hamilton. The invasions drew troops from the Western Front, and the Australian fleet heading to Great Britain would be redirected to Cairo, Egypt to train for desert warfare. And thus, the Mediterranean Expeditionary Force was created under the British Army. They selected a few beaches. They selected Gaba Tepe, Cape Helles, Kim Cale, V Beach, Y Beach, and S Beach. The Ottoman commanders also noticed that the withdrawal of the naval forces. They then called for defences along the Gallipoli Peninsula to be ordered. The plans had been set. They only had to wait until April 25th. 25th of April, 1915, 4:30 a.m. An Australian submarine entered sea lanes behind Gallipoli. Its orders were simple: get past the Turkish defences and sink Turkish warships. This would determine the fate of 2,000 Australian volunteer soldiers. Lieutenant Henry Stoker is in charge of the submarine AE-2. He must take her to where very few people will dare during war times. 3 other British submarine commanders refused to go there. They didn't like the idea of going through the Dardanelles. They said it couldn't be done. For many of the crew of the AE-2, this was the first ever experience of combat during war. The AE-2 must go through the minefield laid by the Turks. The minefield has stopped every single Allied ship and submarine before. Sonar is yet to be invented.
Steady.
Takes a long 1 hour to get through the minefield. The crew hold on to their breath and just pray for luck. Miraculously, the AE-2 makes it through. She puts up her periscope, revealing her position. The Turkish open fire. The AE-2 targets a Turkish destroyer. She fires the number 1 torpedo. Blowing the hole the size of a house in the Turkish destroyer. But desperate with revenge, a Turkish destroyer attempts to ram the submarine. She misses. While Stokes and his crew celebrate, the first wave of Anzac troops land at Gallipoli. The long campaign has begun.